Welcome to a special episode of Nerd on Nerd with me, Ellie Kempster.
And me, Liam Underwood. And in this very special episode, and it's so special because we haven't done a special episode in a long time, which...
Life got in the way, Liam.
Well, lots of things got in the way. Mostly you.
What?
Well, okay, so the reason why we missed out on the last, 3 specials that we were planning to do was because I, like a good little boy, very diligently went and watched the movies, as soon as they opened, and then you, like this fucking riot girl that you think you are, just, making up the rules as you go along, decided to not watch the movies for ages, and then by the time it came to recording, I'd forgotten all about them.
Yeah, I like that I get the blame for this. What the actual problem is that Liam has apparently a 3-second memory for movies. If you go longer than a week, Liam's like, well, I don't know what the film was. I've got no idea.
So I have 2 questions. The first...
what is this film about?
No, the first is, what is Riot Guru? Because I see it a lot, and I don't really know what it is.
Does it just mean you're like a rebellious riot girl?
Cool, I used it in the right context. Very good.
I think so.
The second...
I might Google it, and it might be a really offensive thing, and I'll be like, cool.
Well, the second... and I think we've discussed this before. I watch a lot of movies, so if you don't get me talking about the movie that I've just watched within a week, time will go past. I'll have watched 10 movies since then. How am I meant to remember 10 movies ago?
For an accurate representation of how many films Liam's seen, I'd like listeners to go and listen to the last 3 episodes where he didn't watch any movies, and the last sort of period of Nerd on Nerd where Liam's to watch DVD collection actually increased as opposed to decreased. So,
but that doesn't mean I wasn't watching stuff. It just means that I was buying a lot more than I was watching.
In this special episode of Nerd on Nerd, we're going to be talking about Black Panther.
Yes. Now, wow. This is a movie from Marvel.
Yeah. Just quickly, before we get into it,
Spoilers.
This episode, if anyone hasn't listened to a Nerd on Nerd special before, we're pretty good at not spoiling stuff in the main show, except for the culture swap. Our specials are just us talking about this film, so it is going to get spoiled. So if you haven't seen it, turn us off, pause us, whatever, go watch Black Panther.
And then come back.
Yeah, well,
And listen to our thoughts on Black Panther, the latest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
This follows Thor Ragnarok, which we didn't do a special on.
We were going to, but we didn't.
We might still.
I think we should. I think when some of these films that we missed come out on DVD,
it's out on DVD. It came out this week.
Is it?
Yeah, it came out on Monday.
Already?
Yep.
Look, can I just? This is irrelevant to this special. Do films come out a lot quicker now? I feel like in the past I'd wait a year, but I think is that just because when you're a kid time goes so slowly?
I think that's partly it, and also I think, and I could be wrong, but you think the Marvel movies are so big but also so entwined that I think they're trying to get them out. So if you wanted to see Black Panther but you hadn't seen Thor Ragnarok and you wanted to do it in order like I would, you've got the chance to see Thor Ragnarok and then come and see Black Panther.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense. I can see that.
I mean, that's just a guess of mine. I don't know how accurate that is. It feels like some movies do come out really quickly, but I think some, I think The Greatest Showman might feel like it's going to take a while because it's still in cinema now, and it's been 3 months.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So it's dependent on the film at the end of the day.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, I distracted from the actual talking point in this episode.
Yeah, Black Panther.
I sort of lied earlier when I said we just talk about this film. I've immediately proved us wrong.
Yeah, we talk about all sorts of stuff. It wouldn't be Nerd on Nerd if it didn't go
off the
horrendously
rails.
wrong.
No one knew what we were talking about at the end of it.
Before we get into Black Panther, we've got to do some real talk. We've got to kind of address something.
Yep.
Neither myself nor Ellie are black.
No.
Which may come as a surprise, because this is a podcast, you can only hear us.
It's true.
However, if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see the truth. Anyway, why do I mention that? It's a movie. Good question, thanks for asking. Reason why I mention that, and personally, I had a very similar issue with Wonder Woman, where I feel like, because of who I am, these movies maybe aren't resonating with me in the same way as they would with Wonder Woman, a female audience, or with Black Panther, a black audience.
Yeah.
So I just want to get that clear. This movie has been doing incredibly well. Wonder Woman did incredibly well. And I'm so pleased about that because I'm really hoping that the fact that they're doing so well is going to give the money people in Hollywood the confidence to invest in more diverse movies.
Uh-huh.
So while the movies maybe aren't working for me, And I've got to be honest, I don't think, personally, the reason why these movies are working for me is because of that. But it might be. I don't know. I've only ever seen, like, before this, is this the 18th Marvel movie?
I've got no idea, mate.
Okay, let's say it is. I've seen, like, 17 other Marvel movies before Black Panther where it's predominantly white cast. It's the sort of thing that I'm not even kind of aware that I'm seeing, almost, because it's just so common. So I have no idea what it must be like for, say, like a black kid to sit in the audience 18 movies later and finally see, like, such a strong role model on screen.
Yeah.
So I totally get why that is going to play into how this movie resonates. And that is an element that isn't obviously going to gel with me. I'm just judging it on how entertaining I found it.
Yeah, which is fine. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. I felt like that was important to.
It is. I get why you think it's important.
It's important. I mean, and it's good that not only is it like a black cast, but it's a predominantly black crew as well, like behind the camera.
Yeah.
So good job, Marvel.
Good job, Marvel.
I mean, it took you a while, and we're still waiting for the female-led one, but you know.
We've got Captain Marvel.
Yeah, but it's not out yet, is it?
No.
That's what I'm saying. They're playing catch up to DC in some respects, but in other respects they're miles ahead.
The movie?
Black Panther? Or
yeah, should we talk about the movie?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like that's enough. I don't know if you wanted to chime in on, like, your thoughts.
No, I think you did a good job there.
All right, so what we're not going to do is just go through the plot beat by beat.
Yep, no, we've learnt our lesson from the first time we did it.
We tried that with Captain America Civil War.
It didn't work.
Didn't work. However, you might be thinking, Liam, why are you bringing that up? Because this movie ties into Captain America Civil War.
Yeah, it's like one of their... Now that Marvel have got their established universe, they've been doing it for a while, I guess.
Yeah.
But some films are more heavily tied into the storyline, like the overarching storyline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe than others.
And also, we've got to bear in mind, Captain America Civil War is where you first are really introduced to Black Panther.
Yeah, that was where we were like, oh, cool. We get to see Black Panther. I'm excited for this fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't read a lot of, like, Marvel comics, and I don't know a lot about Black Panther as a character. So yeah. I'm judged, like, if I even take what I know from Black Panther out of the equation, just on Captain America Civil War, I don't think that movie did a particularly good job of really explaining Black Panther. Like, I kind of understood that there was some, like, royal hierarchy to it, and it was like a mantle that's passed down. I got that from Civil War. I didn't really get a lot of, like, what his powers were, for example.
No, that's true. It doesn't particularly do that. But, like, the way I've been thinking about these films, like, this is one of the things that I loved about Black Panther.
Okay.
Is everyone, since Marvel started doing all the films and DC joined in and pretended like they were a competitor to Marvel, when they all started doing that, there was that huge outcry where it was like, oh, I'm done with origin stories. I don't need to know all the origin stories for every hero because so many of us know them, right?
Yeah.
And I like that Black Panther just went, yeah, cool. You don't need to know the origins of where the Black Panthers came from, really. They just did that little summary at the beginning.
Yeah.
They went, here you go, there's a magic plant, makes you super strong, makes you super agile. Here you go. And I was like, cool. We're not getting an origin story for Black Panther.
We're not, and that's...
Because we join him when he's already learned how to do it.
Yeah.
We join a hero who is already, out in the world doing stuff like we saw in Civil War.
Exactly. And I don't need to see a Black Panther origin, but what I did need from this movie that I didn't get is what are... And again, this is also partly on me because I'm just not familiar with this character outside of the movies, right? But what I would have liked is to know what are the boundaries we're playing in here. So I didn't really know what his strengths were. From what I can gather, and I think, what I can gather is he's basically like, he's got the same sort of abilities as Captain America, where stuff just is enhanced.
I think he's probably on just raw stats.
Yeah.
I think he's stronger and more agile than Captain America, because Captain America's thing is he is the peak of a human.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing with him is he's not meant to be super strong. He's meant to be the strongest a person could be.
Yeah.
Whereas Black Panther is enhanced by this magical...
Okay. And
I
on
can't
top
remember what
of
the plant's
that,
called.
he also has a suit.
Yeah, he's got super strength, agility.
Yeah.
He also has a bulletproof, awesome suit that has, in this film, gets loads of extra powers.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of gadgets as well. Because
Yeah.
so his, like, Black Panther's big thing is that he's from this hidden African nation of Wakanda.
Yeah.
Which is a super advanced society hidden in Africa that's cut itself off from the outside world. Well, doesn't interact with the outside world, but they sort of foray out into it to collect vibranium.
Which is what Captain America's shield is made out of.
Yeah. And basically Wakanda's built on top of a mountain of... I think that's how they describe it, is a mountain of vibranium.
Yeah.
So they've got access to this crazy strong material that everyone else in the world has been fighting for years now.
And
in the
with
Marvel
it,
universe.
Wakanda's basically made spaceships, essentially, is what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it's let Wakanda make all these... Like, they've got healing things that just heal
Yeah.
by you sitting in it.
They've got they can somehow shield themselves from the outside world, so like a cloaking device of sorts.
Yeah, it makes it look like it's a mountain, but if you just fly into it, you appear in Wakanda.
Yeah. But the other thing, so going back to just what I was saying about like the boundaries we're playing in,
Yeah.
you've got his strength in his suit. I still do not know what his weaknesses are. Like, I know that he can voluntarily lose his powers by, like, what was it, drinking the thing or whatever.
Yeah. There's like a medicine thing that removes all the herb from you.
Yeah, but I don't know beyond that. And I know his suit had that weakness to the like train area.
Yeah, but that was an anti-vibranium thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's in the Marvel universe. That's like basically anyone's weakness, because eventually everyone seems to get vibranium something. Yeah, so I feel like you put anyone in that little train track and they'd be fucked.
Yeah, I just for me, one of the things that I think Marvel typically do is they give you these parameters quite early on, so you know, right, this is kind of the limitations of the hero, right? And obviously, in a lot of them, they do like very slightly extend those limitations to overcome the big bad. But still, you know what you're working with, and I just never really felt like I had that with this. As
a sort of argument against that, right? Who? What's Iron Man's weakness?
Well, he's very much reliant on, especially in the earlier movies, I would say his weakness is the fact that he needed that core to keep those shards out of entering his heart.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that anymore.
No, they fixed that. But that was the weakness that was in the first Iron Man, and maybe in the second. I can't remember when they fix it, but that was what his like defined weakness was. And also, he is very reliant on his suit. If you take him out of it, all he's got is his smarts to kind of play with. Yeah,
I feel like in this film, there's a fair case for Black Panther not being very good if he doesn't have the suit. He gets shot a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Captain America, he doesn't have a weakness.
I mean, he's old.
But no, he isn't. It's the thing. The thing with Captain America is he's kind of not old. In the MCU, he also isn't old. He was frozen in like ice, so
he's still like 70.
Yeah, but no, he isn't though. His body was frozen.
His weakness is Bucky, and his weakness is that he's too what's the word? Too I don't know the right word. Like
honourable.
Sort of he's too kind of indebted to his government. He's too like reliant on friendship. It's a bit almost like Superman, right? Where Superman's biggest weakness is the fact that he loves humans. And so Captain America is things like...
Superman's biggest weakness is kryptonite.
That's his second biggest weakness.
Okay, right.
If he didn't love humans, he'd be fucking unbeatable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what I was trying to get at, Liam, with that is I actually think that a lot of Marvel heroes don't have an obvious weakness like what I think you were thinking. So here's this magical stone that gets rid of Black Panther's powers, right? I don't think many of them have that, because I think that the thing that Marvel, and the thing that me and you agree that Marvel have done well, is they tend to make good characters, right, or interesting characters. So I think that it tends to be that the weakness in Marvel heroes is a character flaw. So I think Tony Stark's weakness is the alcoholism.
Well, that's barely touched. Really,
was only in 3.
Really,
but then, like you said, with
it's
Captain
the
America,
arrogance. His weakness is his arrogance. Like the fact that he built
it's still
Ultron.
a character flaw, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I think that instead of being like, I don't know what Black Panther's weak to, you're meant to watch this film and like look at how his character is. And
yeah,
be
but
like,
that's
the
other thing that I didn't really get from the movie. That's what
But
I'm saying.
I think there is a good character flaw that he has that's
Go on.
a weakness. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's basically watched his dad die, taken over as king of Wakanda, and everyone around him is like, cool, so yeah, you're not going to like interfere with the outside world, right? And then some people are like, yeah, no, you are. And then other people are like, yeah, we're going to go to war with them, right? And he's just like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Because there's the whole scene where he's like, I've got to go catch that guy that messed us up, that stole the vibranium. And like his council are like, no, you're a king. Like, obviously you don't go do that stuff anymore. And then he just goes. Yeah. And I think it's meant to be that he just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing as king of Wakanda. So he's like, I know how to go and fight people, so I'm going to go do that.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Like, that's what I would put forward as his weakness.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I mean...
Sorry.
No, that's fine. The thing is, I don't want to just jump in on, like, my dislikes of the movie. So I've got a thing that I really like, but before I get to that, I have to do a little dislike, okay?
Okay, that's fine, yeah, go for it.
I think another issue I have with this is really, what's his face? Is it T'Challa?
Yeah.
Even though this movie is called Black Panther and it's essentially about T'Challa, I think he's one of the weakest characters in it, and I think he is massively overshadowed by a really strong, really interesting, like, female supporting cast.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I love the fact that this movie has such strong female characters, but I do think they overshadow T'Challa.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because some of the best parts of this movie where you're like really getting into the characters are his sister and the head of the Royal Guard. And the spy lady. I should look up their names. Right,
so the spy lady is Nakia.
Yep.
Who's played by Lupita Nyong'o.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've
Okoye, the head of the guard. No.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
No. Wait. No. Okoye's the.
Yeah, that's the head of the guard. It's Danai Gurira, Michonne in Walking Dead.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the sister, who's played by Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, his sister.
Yeah. Cool.
And you've also got Angela Bassett, who plays his mum, Ramonda.
Oh yeah.
So you've got like a really strong and they get some of the best moments, especially his sister. I thought his sister was easily my favourite part of this movie.
Yeah, I love any time a female character is in either a science lab or an engineering place listening to like hardcore music in a very conservative place.
Yeah.
Like, I love the fact that she's like completely rebelling against Wakanda's traditions.
Yeah, she had just so many good moments. The other thing that I think this movie did really well, and this is something that I think we've mentioned before, that Marvel typically let themselves down a bit by not having particularly good villains.
Yep.
But Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, incredible. Like one of the best villains we've seen. I still think, and it's probably only because we've spent more time with them, I still think for me Loki is slightly better. But
see, I don't know, because I'm starting to get fed up with Loki.
Yeah, that's fair, and I totally see why people...
Because they're overusing him. Like,
yeah,
I feel like every other film is a Loki extra, and you're like, just give me someone else.
But I think the similarities between Killmonger and Loki are you can empathise with where that character's come from. Like, you know that while what they're doing maybe isn't necessarily the right thing, you know exactly why it is that they're doing that, and it makes sense.
Yeah, they were both like fucked over as kids, and yeah, that's fair.
And I also thought that he had one of the best lines, which was like right at the end of the movie. And I'll be honest, like after watching the movie, I read a little bit of the symbolism that went completely over my head, like the fact that one of the big climatic like fights takes place on a train track. I was reading on Twitter that that's like incredibly symbolic for a like African American audience.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I didn't particularly get it when I watched it, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But what I did get, and it's probably is quite in your face, and that's why I got it. But it was right at the end after Killmonger's had his like big fight with Black Panther, and Black Panther's like, we can fix you. We've got the technology to get you better. And Killmonger's line, I don't know the line exactly, but it's basically he's talking about how his ancestors, the slaves on the ships, who would rather jump overboard to certain death than become like bound as a slave.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that line is kind of really obvious, but that did hit home a lot to me, like just where his mentality is at.
Yeah.
And I think that like almost like one of the kind of I don't think political is the right word, but one of the kind of messages that this movie is trying to get across that is still applicable today.
Yeah.
So those are some of my likes. I'm going to let you do some now. Because I don't want to dominate the conversation.
No, that's fair. I mean, the problem is you've said a lot of things that are very good about this film, Liam.
I know, that's what I do.
It sort of doesn't work when one person takes the good points and goes, here's what I liked. What do you like? And I'm like, well, those things. They were good.
No, but so we've discussed this slightly, and we both like similar things, but we've both come away with quite different ratings for the movie.
Yeah.
So there's got to be other stuff that you like, surely.
Well, not necessarily. I might dislike less stuff than you.
Potentially.
Well, I mean, one of the big things that stands out to me, and you've already touched on it with the supporting cast being really good.
Yeah.
Right? I loved the representation of women in this film because
yeah.
Instead of holding any punches and being like, oh, T'Challa's got to go save everyone, all the women in this film feel like they're just super capable.
Yeah.
Totally, like, not that they could do without him, but do you know what I mean? Like,
he doesn't have to go and save them necessarily.
No, yeah. Like, even when he does try to save someone, he sort of fucks up her mission.
Yeah.
Admittedly, he did go and do it because he wants her to be at his dad's funeral, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But she's like, you're fucking up my mission. I was doing fine. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then, like, the relationships they have between all these characters are interesting, I think. Those main ones. There's some problems with some of the character relationships that I just didn't get.
There was definitely some that I think they could have emphasised more in the film.
Yeah. Because there's stuff that didn't make sense to me, but...
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that it made sense, but I had to it took me a beat to think about it and realise it, is, so you've got Daniel Kaluuya, I think you say his name, who was in Get Out.
Yeah.
He plays, like, one of T'Challa's advisors, and he's also in a relationship with, is it okay? How do you say the word?
Yeah, Okoye, I think.
Okoye. And that plays into, like, the big climatic fight at the end, and there's a bit where it just took me a beat to kind of remember that they're in a relationship, because it's kind of touched upon, like, maybe in two different moments in the movie, but it's not really made a big thing of.
Yeah, no, that's the exact relationship that to me didn't make sense.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're so, like, Okoye is very much like, whoever's on the throne, that's who I'm following, and I'm doing what's best for the throne. Yeah. Not necessarily the people, it's the throne that she's serving.
Yeah.
And Wakabe?
Something like that.
Wakabe is sort of doesn't betray the throne. He does that as well. But he helps the other T'Challa's long lost cousin get on the throne.
And he does have his own vendetta, because
I mean it escalates his whole motive. His motive didn't feel real, which is annoying because like Killmonger's motive was, like you said, you can sort of see why he's doing it.
Well, let's go through what Wakabe's motive was.
Okay, so what's the dude's name? The guy with the robot hand.
Claw. Ulysses Claw.
Yeah. So Wakabe wants revenge on Ulysses Claw.
Yeah.
Because he killed Wakabe's parents.
I mean, I don't really like. So this is one of the issues. Is one, it was nearly 2 weeks ago that I saw this movie. I've seen a bunch since, but two, I just don't think the movie did a good enough job of kind of getting Wakabe's motive across. I think,
yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why we're trying to figure it out. Now.
Yeah, I think on a second
we're doing
watch,
that right now.
I'd understand it.
I would, but I still wouldn't get, because that's so basically he's got a reason to want to kill Claw.
Yeah.
And T'Challa's like, yeah, he's just fucked us over too. We're gonna go get him. We're gonna sort this out. Don't you worry. I promise we'll get him.
But we're not
going to kill him if I have to. Yeah. No, I think he says I'll kill him if I have to.
Yeah, but that's not his like. So Wakabe.
It's not his goal, but he's like, if you can't bring him back, kill him. And he says, yeah, I promise.
Yeah, Wakabe just wants him dead. But if possible, T'Challa would rather capture him.
Yeah. So T'Challa goes out, tries to get him, fails, the guy escapes, and Wakabe is immediately just like, you've betrayed me, I don't like you anymore. They've had a scene where they were like, we're best friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think this guy's your best friend if you fuck up once. And it wasn't even like an unreasonable fuck up. It wasn't like T'Challa lets Claw go.
No.
Claw escapes and does so quite impressively.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fucks up a bunch of cars, nearly kills a bunch of people. So I was like, it makes sense that T'Challa couldn't get him. And I feel like if T'Challa had been like, yeah, honestly, we tried. Ask your wife, she was there. It was hell. He escaped.
It's one of those things where it feels very orchestrated to serve the movie.
Yeah, they were like, we need someone on the inside who helps helps Killmonger get on the throne.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just felt that was such a. It didn't pull me out of the movie, but I sat there and I was like, this doesn't make sense to me that W'Kabi would feel this way immediately.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help when at the end they have that whole face down, his wife and him, because you're just like you said, first you're like, why are they stopping? Oh, because they're married.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. You know the character that I kind of feel like, to me, they felt really shoehorned in and kind of unnecessary.
I know exactly who it is, and I agree with you.
Go on.
It's Martin Freeman's character.
Yeah, Everett K. Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing Martin Freeman do American accent, he does it okay, but it still makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it is only okay. It's not great or anything, and it's. I don't know if it's just because I'm like so familiar with how he normally talks, like watching him in The Office and The Hobbit and stuff. But I just noticed it, right? It felt like he was putting on a voice.
Yeah, no, so definitely, I agree.
There was that, but I don't really know what he kind of contributed to the plot, really. I don't see how he was necessary.
No, because, I mean, so in terms of what the actual plot was written as, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense because they need a pilot to destroy the things. But the fact that they needed a pilot to destroy those the ships that are escaping with weapons to arm all the black people in the world, that didn't feel like it felt unnecessary for them to be like, oh yeah, cool, they're going to fly them away, so that way Martin Freeman's a pilot. Got it, there we go. It did feel like a totally like, I don't know if maybe they're setting something up for the Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
If they're trying to set something up for Infinity War, or what,
maybe.
It did feel but that's not an excuse because it feels out of place and it doesn't feel like it fits the film particularly.
Yeah, no, exactly. I also just want to say that I did think Forrest Whitaker was good, but just kind of underused.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment where he gets killed, right? And I just felt like, because I didn't really know this character, I felt like that death just lacked the kind of emotional impact it should have had, or that maybe they wanted it to have. And,
it definitely. Yeah. I mean, did you realise? At the beginning where you see him in, because they have that whole scene at the beginning where T'Challa's dad finds his brother and is like, California. What are you doing? And Zuri, Forrest Whitaker's character, is there as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like they mentioned it once, like right before he dies, maybe.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, yeah, that was me. And I don't know, I felt like they could have said that earlier, because that way I feel like I'd have connected more to that. Because for most of the film I was watching him being like, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just the guy that makes people drink the herb.
Yeah, exactly. They should have done more with him, I think.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was just disappointing is, it's kind of, I almost resent having to say this, because I've said in the past that I don't like how Marvel has this tendency to play it really safe with their characters and not really kill them off or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it really fucks me off when in this movie they kill off Ulysses Claw, who is a character that I just feel like has a lot of potential that we haven't seen fully realised yet.
Yeah.
It seems really weird to me that Marvel are so reluctant to kill off characters, and then in this movie they're just popping them off left, right and centre.
But then also, like, is he that, I don't know, like,
He's
I can't
not, like,
see
pivotal.
him fitting into any other films. Not after... If the next film is them fighting in fucking space and saving the world in the biggest way they've ever done, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, when is Claw realistically going to fit back into the universe in a way that... Like, I sort of agree with you, because it was a shock when they killed him, because I was like, oh, I felt like there was more to this.
Yeah, I mean, one, I just think Andy Serkis is really good, and he does good with that character, but I don't know, I think you said this to me, and I agree, is that character felt like an introduction to this kind of seedier criminal underworld that we haven't really seen yet.
Yeah, because we get it a little bit in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes, very
with the
slightly.
idea that there is like this underground world that are selling off the alien tech so they can basically have superpowers too.
Yeah.
And Claw does feel like he's part of that.
Yeah, and that could have been quite interesting. Even if you don't necessarily want to use it in the MCU, but you want to use it in like what they're doing with some of the Netflix TV stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I just felt like there was more they could have done.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with you, but I also trust Marvel at this point enough that I'm sort of like, if they had decided, that isn't a story we're going with.
Yeah. That
to me says they've probably got something else lined up.
Yeah.
I've got theories. I've got theories that I'm super excited about for where Marvel's going.
Is it the I want to say scroll, but I don't know if that's right. Is it Kroll
Yeah,
or scroll?
the secret invasion.
Yeah.
That's what I reckon is going to happen with the new Avengers stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's because of the news that came out about Captain Marvel.
What did they say?
So Captain Marvel is being set in the 90s and is also going to feature Nick Fury before he loses one of his eyes.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just thinking, if you're including Nick Fury and if you're setting it in the 90s, right, that would be the perfect opportunity to have a reveal like that would just reshape how you view all of the movies that have come before. If one of the, like, you know, Avengers, for example, is revealed to be something like that, I don't understand why else you'd say it in the 90s and...
I mean, so what I think / hope they're doing is not getting ready to do a scroll reveal soon.
Yeah.
Basically, I think in the proper Secret Invasion storyline, it takes place after one of the other big events has happened. Yeah. And the idea is that in that original event, they had implanted Skrull agents into the world and replaced heroes. So I would love, basically, if we imagine that this whole section of Marvel has been like Arc 1, right?
Yeah.
I would love to get a whole Arc 2, where the end of Arc 2 was, hey, you know all these cool new heroes we introduced you to?
Yeah.
Half of them are fucking Skrull. Welcome to the new Civil War.
Yeah.
That's what I want it to be. So, like, I feel like if they set it up with Captain Marvel, that's going to disappoint me, because I'll be like, I feel like the impact of having a big finale to the second arc where suddenly you're like, oh shit, I just watched an entire however many films.
Yeah, it depends how they set it up.
Yeah, it does. Because, yeah, I'm just, yeah. Because, like I always say, I don't think it's fair to say to films, like, I'd rather you'd have done this.
Yeah.
Because...
I mean, they might do like a Battlestar Galactica where they're like, right, we're going to reveal that these are here and this is what they can do, but we're not going to reveal who they've done it to.
Yeah, that could work. So
then you've got a whole arc where you're constantly sort of second-guessing motives.
Yeah, you're watching all these heroes and being like, oh, I really like this new hero they've introduced. Fuck, what if it's a Skrull?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Bringing it back to Black Panther.
Yeah, sorry, we derailed again.
What did you think of all of the stuff with M'Baku?
I personally liked it.
I did. I liked kind of him and his part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily kind of brought into... So I liked it when he did the challenge at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when they go back to him later on, I don't know if I fully understood, like... Not necessarily understood, but brought into the motives there either.
See, that's the bit I liked. I like that they did... It felt like Marvel learning from some of the stuff that's done well in the past, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, they, you know, with Guardians of the Galaxy, they were like, oh shit, we can be kind of funny about stuff.
Yeah,
and people
yeah.
like that. So I like the fact that you get this really serious character for most of the film. Basically, M'Baku leads this one tribe of Wakandan people
that just to
disagree
explain,
with everything.
Yeah, for context, Wakanda's basically made up of 5 different tribes.
Yeah, I think it was 5.
And when there's I think it's when there's a new Black Panther, the tribes can put forth a challenger who, if they defeat the person that's been put forward as Black Panther, they become Black Panther essentially.
Yeah, they become king.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which is how Killmonger eventually becomes king in like a second trial.
Yeah.
But yeah, so M'Baku turns up, and it sounds like usually they don't show up. Like this tribe just ignores the rest of Wakanda.
Yeah.
Keeps to itself, and then they turn up and are like, "No, we don't think T'Challa's the right person for this at all. We're gonna fight." So it's like this really serious. Like he nearly beats him. They had like the fight is pretty even for a while.
Yeah.
And then T'Challa kicks his ass.
Yeah.
So, like, they set up this really serious character, and then when they go to ask them for help at the end, there's, like, an element of comedy to it, like, which I think makes sense because M'Baku feels like he's kind of like the real traditionalists of Wakanda, where they're like, no, we're, you know, this tech's too much, we don't agree with any of it. So it sort of makes sense to me that he loses a ritual combat thing.
Yeah.
So in his head, he's like, yeah, so T'Challa's king. Cool.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I really... brought into it. The scene just didn't play quite right, I don't think.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
That's fair enough.
I mean, they also, you know, ignoring whether we liked it or not, they sort of had to do it for the end scene, like that end battle, because
yeah.
They'd already sort of established that most of Wakanda wasn't going to fight for T'Challa.
Yeah. So the other thing as well, this is how I've been describing Black Panther to people that maybe weren't aware of it, and I think it's a fair description. And what we've just spoken about touches on it. Black Panther to me feels like Marvel meets Game of Thrones with a little bit of James Bond thrown in. And this whole tribe thing is the Game of Thrones element to it.
Kind of. It's like Game of Thrones light.
Oh, incredibly light. There's no incest or nothing going on.
I mean, there's also not a whole lot of political manipulation.
No, there's no scene where T'Challa's balls deep in Shuri.
You're fixating way too much on the incest, Liam.
That's a lot of Game of Thrones, though.
It's only like 3 characters that have
There's no little people in Black Panther. And no dragons. Also, no tits. So, it's incredibly Game of Thrones light.
Game of Thrones ultra light.
Yeah, Game of Thrones
I do see what you're saying.
For a child audience.
Yeah, okay, sure.
And then Shuri brings in the James Bond element with the gadgets and like you were saying, she's in a lab kind of.
Yeah, she's effectively his Q.
Yes, exactly.
But also, has a little badass fight moment at the end, which I was happy about.
Yeah, and I think that's if anyone was on the fence about this movie, that description is going to tell you if this is for you or if it's a skip.
I mean, also, listeners, if you haven't seen the film and you carried on listening for whatever reason, because you're insane, maybe sometimes ignore Liam, because I also feel like if you don't think that sounds good,
you might like it.
It's also not super that.
Yeah, to be fair, we've had it in the past where a certain listener who I don't wish to name, but they've been a guest on the show in the past. They know who they are. They listened to one of our spoiler-free reviews. I think it was of Spider-Man: Homecoming. Mm-hmm. They listened to it, not spoiler-free, our spoiler-filled review of it, our special.
Yeah.
Then they went and watched the movie, and I didn't think it was very good. So, well, of course you didn't, because you knew every single thing that was about to happen, and all of the twists and turns, and everything that makes that movie good, you knew was about to happen. I'm not surprised you didn't like it.
To be fair, if they were listening to us, Liam, we're not that great. They probably didn't get most of the film.
I don't know. I feel like
I think we probably hit on the main spoilers for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I do feel like we would have listening to that would have affected your opinion. But
I feel like this is back to our sort of disjointed, we're not really sure what we're doing style. Yeah. So I feel like you could have listened to most of this and still go see that film and be like, this is nothing like they were talking about. The
other thing that I was really disappointed with in Black Panther, and it's a trend that I just keep noticing at the moment, and we've discussed it before on the main show. The CGI wasn't that good there was a few instances where the green screen was really obvious. There were some bits where it was
that's unusual for me because I usually pick up on those. That's in a few of our recent episodes, that's been the thing that's really not really put me off, but a thing that I've raised. I didn't particularly notice that in this.
Oh, that surprises me because it was really distracting. Particularly some of the stuff around the waterfall when they're doing the fight there. Some of the stuff within the council. There was I remember watching a scene and a character walks centre stage forward towards the camera, has a line of dialogue, turns around and walks, and the background is a sort of T-shaped corridor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, right, if I see them kind of walking and turning the corner or whatever, I'm going to know that's a set. And it cuts before you even see their legs. And it was like, right, as I suspected, that was green screened. There was just a few elements where it just felt really obvious to me.
That's weird, yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, I'm normally quite oblivious to it.
And I'm usually quite
obviously
opposite
stuff like
of oblivious to it.
Justice League, it's hard to be oblivious to it in that. But I think that's what's triggered me noticing it as a recurring trend. Lately, I don't understand why movies with budgets like that aren't producing better CGI.
Well, I think part of it's just a limit in the technology.
Or is it time? Are they committing to certain release dates and then just corners are having to be scraped to hit those?
It's probably a combination of everything. But we are, we aren't at photorealism yet.
We're not
CGI and stuff. There is some stuff. I can't remember what I saw something ages ago that was talking about a film that had some scenes that were noticeably CGI, and then this person was talking about how they'd made it, and he was like, I'll be honest with you, if you go and watch that film, there is probably 10 times as much CGI that you're not noticing, because we're good enough on most stuff that you can watch a film and not see half the CGI.
Yeah.
But then some of it is just, we don't know, we haven't got the stuff to make that look 100% real yet.
Yeah, and so that's the trick with CGI, right? Is you should never notice it.
That's the goal. I think that's the goal. Maybe less the trick, because there's something like a superhero film, you're not going to be able to avoid.
Yeah, when you've got Iron
CGI.
Man flying around, you're going to know that was done in CGI, right?
Yeah.
But what I mean is, with Black Panther, for example, there was whole shots that I just looked at and was like, this just feels like it was entirely computer generated. I think the first time you kind of like the camera zooms into Wakanda, I was like, oh, I'm just watching just a computer at work here. Like there felt like there was just zero like actual footage to just ground it in even like a small bit of realism. Like there might have been, they might have filmed like a tree line or something and then add a load of stuff in the background. It just felt way too CGI heavy.
Okay, that's fair enough, I guess.
But yeah, other than that, I've only got one other issue, and it's not really with the film.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've got any, what else you want to say about Black Panther.
I'm trying to remember if I had another dislike on it. I feel like I had something earlier and I can't remember what it was. No, fuck it, I can't remember, Lee.
This is what happens when we don't record.
Well, no, because I remembered it earlier. I'd forgotten it now.
Right. So my final point, which isn't so much to do with Black Panther.
Okay, what is your final point, Liam?
There's a big plot point in this movie where T'Challa is maybe going to die.
Yeah.
Except before they showed Black Panther at the cinema, they showed a trailer for Avengers Infinity War, which had T'Challa pretty predominantly in it. So there was a whole chunk of this movie where I was like, oh, right, well, he's going to be okay because he's in the next movie. And I don't understand why you would release that trailer, or at least play that trailer before the movie. Have the trailer like what they did with, was it Captain America First Avenger, where the post-credit sting for that was the trailer for Avengers. They should have had Avengers Infinity War trailer as the post-credit sting for this.
I completely agree with you. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
That's not the fault of Black Panther, that's the fault of marketing department.
No, maybe not even that. Like, who decides what trailers go before a film?
I think it's the film company, the studio, because it's often like if you go to see a Warner Brothers movie, they're going to show a load of Warner Brothers trailers beforehand.
Okay. So yeah, because it's definitely someone's fault.
Yeah.
But to play devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
I guess part you could say, right? Everyone knew that Black Panther was going to be in the next Avengers film.
Did they?
Because I mean, just on a logic basis, Marvel don't introduce characters to kill them off in one film, and they were not going to do that with Black Panther because Black Panther is a core character in the Marvel comic book series.
Yeah,
Wakanda is such a key part of a lot of these storylines.
Right, here's the key, and I was very careful with how I said this. I think, you knew Black Panther was going to be in it, but not necessarily T'Challa.
No, T'Challa is Black Panther.
Right, but if T'Challa had died in this, the Black Panther mantle would have been taken up by someone else.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Marvel haven't done that yet. No, anything. There haven't been. And that's no. So I'm not arguing with you. What I'm saying is that would have been a cool surprise, but no one went into Black Panther being like, I don't think Black Panther's going to be in the next film.
Yeah,
right?
in that case, right, just maybe don't have a whole plot point where you're like, oh, he could die.
Oh, no, because they still need that in there because it's a film. Like, that's just how films work. You
could have had someone else.
I agree with you. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't want to put the blame on Black Panther, and I don't mind that plot point being there. I just think it's a shame that there wasn't even like an element of doubt. You know, like potentially when I was watching this, in the back of my mind, I could have gone, well, Marvel have already killed a few characters. They're being pretty ballsy in this movie. Maybe they're going to do this. That there wasn't even that like slight shred of doubt. You know.
No.
It's not the fault of the film. It's just an odd choice that someone somewhere made.
I guess as well, it's difficult to throw the blame at anyone really, because this is like what Marvel are doing with their cinematic universe is kind of the first time anyone's doing this the way they are, which is these films are so close together, right? So I can easily see that no one's had to deal with this before, and some dude just went, yeah, of course we're putting Avengers trailer at Black Panther. It's the next film. It's coming out really soon. We need to advertise it in our Marvel film. Yeah. So I'd find it hard to even blame that guy, because this is a mistake that is easy to make. I think he should be told, and the cinema companies should look at this and say, oh shit, we can't do that stuff anymore. Yeah. But I feel like this is a learning curve, probably for most people in the film industry. Like, how do we deal with our films coming out so quickly, one after the other? Yeah, I guess. But it's annoying, and it doesn't make it any less annoying being like, oh, you know, maybe there's not a reason, but I can see how they got there. Yeah. Because it is a stupid thing. Yeah. But do you know what I mean? I feel like hopefully this is the kind of thing where people learn from this and go, cool, if we're doing these big cinematic universes, maybe we don't spoil the film you're about to watch. I mean, I kind of feel like a lot of cinematic universes have
tried to take off since this, and none of them have. And I think people are already starting to wise up, and I think this could be quite a unique thing.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think there's probably going to be that many afterwards.
I mean, DC was the only one that had a shot, and they fucked it. They tried to do. There was a sort of. I can't remember what they called it, like Dark Monster
DCU,
Universe. Bro? No. So yeah, DC, but then they had this weird like monster universe. They tried to start with the Mummy.
Yeah, no, DCU, Dark Cinematic Universe, I believe it was called.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, sorry, it's the Dooku, DUCU, Dark Universal Cinematic Universe. I believe.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, that
was so amazing. I can't believe that fell in on itself before it.
Yeah.
Was Mummy technically part of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so they had one film.
Yeah, they had one film, and it just fucked.
Oh, the Dooku.
We have got the Godzilla King Kong one. That's still chugging along. But
yeah, but they're doing it in a very traditional sense of like this is all part of a universe, and the films come out every
couple of years. Yeah, exactly.
They really aren't sort of part of the same universe.
No,
they just every now and again we throw in a little bit like, remember that King Kong exists.
Yeah, I don't think anything else is going to be able to try and like I said, like DC had the best shot and they fucked it. There's not really anyone else, I don't think, even trying to do something like this.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, Marvel were kind of lucky in that they had so much source material to draw from to pull this together. I think what's going to be interesting with Marvel is seeing where they go after the next two Avengers movies.
Yeah, I guess that's the real test, because we know that works in the comic books.
Yeah, it's just
like it's whether it works when you've adapted it to film.
Exactly, because
or whether, because this could just be the end, right? Like these is it 2 more Avengers films?
Yeah, but there are like a lot of stuff sort of scheduled. So we know we're definitely getting the Avengers Infinity War, and that's definitely being followed by Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep.
At some point Captain Marvel's coming. At some point we've got Avengers 4 coming.
Yeah, so because Captain Marvel's like almost the bridging point between the two, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Like between whatever they call it. They have a name for it and I can't remember what it is. It's not arc, but
phase.
That's it, the phases, yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of the bridging point between those two phases.
Yeah, because I believe they're introducing her for Infinity War. Sort of like what they did with Black Panther and Civil War, where they introduce a hero and then they get their own movie.
Yeah.
But
it'll be interesting. I've got faith that they'll do it, but also part of me is kind of like...
I mean, so you've got two different issues they're going to face, right? Where one, you've just got, okay, do we have good stories that we want to keep telling? And they've got, 70 plus years of comics to draw from? So that shouldn't be an issue. The second one, which is the real one, is we've got actors tied to contracts, and if they need to renegotiate, that's going to get real expensive for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the next phase is just almost not a reboot, but a recasting. Like a bunch of these old heroes either get killed off in Infinity War or just fuck off at the end. They're like, I'm done being a hero. Yeah, and then we get the new Avengers.
That's what Avengers 4 should be, I think.
Yeah, hopefully X-Men if they figure out this deal. Yeah,
it should be kind of almost like resetting the chessboard.
Yeah.
Because equally, right, if you've handled Thanos, you then need to go. You either have to go bigger, which is going to be hard, or a completely different direction, which is why we were talking earlier about the Skrull stuff.
Yeah.
It's from a completely like objective, we enjoy these movies, but just looking at it from a business standpoint, it's an interesting position that they're in. Like you said, it's never been done before. Yeah,
they're like forging their own little path in this world of cinematic universes, which no one else is managing to pull off.
No, at all. And it's impressive that they've managed to keep this going as long as they have so far.
Yeah, it is.
But saying that, the problem I have is, so 2017 we had 3 Marvel movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yep.
We had Spider-Man Homecoming, and we had Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
I enjoyed all 3 of those immensely. They were at least 4 out of 5. Spider-Man Homecoming was a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I can't help but feel like Black Panther, it's not like a step in the wrong direction, but it's a wobble.
So I don't agree with you. I think it was a good film.
Yeah, it's probably one of my least enjoyed Marvel movies. Just average. There's a couple that were definitely worse, but it's probably in my, say, bottom 5, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it is for me.
I don't know why it is either.
I mean, that's fair enough. Because both our points are fairly similar.
Yeah, I just found it really average. And I don't know if it's because... I always think that, like, if you're going to call a movie something like, Black Panther, I always feel it's a bit of a shame if Black Panther isn't one of the, like, good parts of it, One of the parts where you come away going, that was really cool. When they're overshadowed by the support or the villain or whatever. I mean, sometimes when a hero is overshadowed by the villain, that's cool. Like, The Dark Knight is an amazing movie, and that's entirely because of the Joker. But I just feel like this movie wasn't good enough to kind of, for me to, excuse not having a better lead. And I don't think that's an acting issue. Like, I think Chadwick Boseman did a fine job in that role. Just the character he was given wasn't that interesting.
That's fair. I get it.
Because all of the acting, really, apart from like we're discussing Martin Freeman's accents, apart from that, I can't really fault the acting.
No, it was all good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I wanted from this movie.
I don't know, but then I don't know if you know what you want from any film.
Actually, all I want is to be pleasantly surprised. And I don't think
you say
I
that,
was.
and then you watch, thousands of films, and then get confused when films don't surprise you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the weirdest thing.
Well, what's weird about that?
I mean, you've seen pretty much everything films can throw at you.
But that's why being surprised is such a delight.
Yes, and it's why it's so rare.
But it's not though, because, like I said, the last 3 Marvel movies had that surprise element to it. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed them.
That cannot be the thing that counts as a surprise.
No,
you cannot be surprised by how much you enjoy. This film did such a good job because it surprised me. How did it surprise you? I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Here we go. So I'll break it down if you want.
No, I don't.
I don't give a fuck. Thor Ragnarok surprised me just with how funny it was. Like the comedy in that completely took me by surprise. Spider-Man: Homecoming surprised me because it was an actual like teenage Spider-Man actually dealing with school problems. Like the other Spider-Man incarnations we've seen so far seem to just try and get Peter Parker out of school as quick as possible.
Yeah. You can hear all that on the Homecoming special we did.
There you go. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 surprised me because I kind of was worried that would be like a one-note joke. Like the first movie was really surprising. I was like, they're never going to be able to kind of bottle that lightning again. And they did. I think, again, it was funnier than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. It's not like I don't want the wheel to be reinvented. I just want the movie to do something that I wasn't expecting necessarily.
But then that's its whole own... We can't get into this. This is not the show for us dissecting the things I think are wrong with your viewpoints and you justifying your viewpoints. Huh?
If this isn't the show for it, I don't know what is.
No, I mean like the main show is. I feel like the specials aren't.
Yeah, I don't care.
Let's do ratings.
Black Panther, 3 out of 5.
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Hopefully, we've articulated both of our points well enough for you, the listener, to understand where we're coming from and how we've landed on those numbers.
Probably not.
But
if you want to
remember, these are the opinions of a nerdy white guy.
Oh my god, you don't need to specify
this
again. You do not need to specify this again. You're making it a point, and it doesn't need to be a point.
Wakanda forever.
Liam.
Yeah.
If people want to get in contact with us and let us know, all the shit that we got wrong.
Yeah.
How would they do that?
I think in the case of this movie, just don't.
Well, what if they really need to?
No, we're probably wrong, and you know what? You're probably listening to this. If you're not Amanda, you're probably a huge fan of Black Panther. You're probably its target demographic.
Was Amanda not a fan?
No. So what I'm saying is Amanda will listen to this, right? And I respect Amanda's opinion. I'm now addressing all of the other listeners we'll have who aren't Amanda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right.
Listeners, I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to hear it from the mouth of Liam, because he deals with reading me all the correspondences.
Yeah.
So tweet us at Nerd on Nerd if it's a little short point, like fuck you guys, I don't like you. Tweet us.
Yeah.
If it's a bit longer, like fuck you guys, I don't like you, here's 10 reasons that you're insufferable.
Yeah.
That's probably best done by email, which is nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
If it's, I don't want to tell these guys, but I do want to rate them 5 stars and say fuck you, that's iTunes. Find us on there, give us a rating. Or SoundCloud, you can comment on there.
Yeah. Do you know what,
Facebook's a thing.
Yeah, you could Facebook it, I guess.
Nerd on Nerd Pod, all one word.
Yeah. That'll do it, I think. Or has it
Yep.
got dashes? No,
Don't think it does.
At the end of the day, you're probably more right than we are.
Okay.
When it comes to this movie,
listen, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I edited out the 5-second silence that Liam left in there, but I just want you to know it was there.
Yeah, like, I'm sure there's a load of stuff in this that we didn't pick up on. Sorry.
No, but I'm interested in, genuinely, I'm interested in other people's views on this. Not necessarily all the, like, standard views, just on, like,
what it
it's
is,
a good
and
film.
why I've been a bit cautious about talking about this, and why I think you're a bit blasé, is because I spend a lot more time on Twitter than you do, and I've seen some of the, like, responses this movie has got, and some of it is just really extreme, and really just confusing to me.
That's fine. I'll talk to those people, Liam. Give me control of the account to shout at people shouting
You've
at us.
got control of the account.
Yeah, and I'll shout at people if they shout at us.
The other thing is, so I'm also seeing like a load of people kind of praising this movie and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, more power to you. I'm pleased this movie's doing well. But then I've seen people be like, oh, and don't forget, when A Wrinkle in Time comes out, you've got to go support that as well. I'm just trying to find the director's name. Ava DuVernay. So I'm seeing like people be like, yeah, Black Panther's really good, but don't forget, go give Ava DuVernay your support when A Wrinkle in Time comes out. And I'm just like, if A Wrinkle in Time turns out to be shit, I don't think you should be encouraging people to go and see it just because of who directed it.
No, that's fair.
And this is what I mean. There's a certain reaction that this movie is generating on Twitter that baffles me.
Yeah, it's easy to baffle you, mate. Let's wrap this up.
There's like a just.
This is not a therapy session for you.
Can it be?
I'm not your therapist.
Why not?
You need to get a therapist.
I don't have the money.
I mean, no, you'd also have to cycle through them weekly because they'd all quit.
Yeah.
You'd walk in and you'd like say something just horribly offensive to them, and they'd be like, "I don't want to help you."
I'm pretty sure it's obvious if you listen to the show that this is my therapy session.
Hi, my name's Liam, and I'm here for therapy. The problem is, I'm so good, and everyone thinks I'm not. So can you help me figure out why? And then they just go, I don't. This is too much.
You've hit the nail on the head there. The problem is that everyone else is always wrong, and it's just really... Imagine being like in a world where
bye, listeners.
Everyone is constantly wrong.
Bye.
Wakanda forever. Black Panther.